This image of him, draped in tribal skins and in custody, was to be the world's last glimpse of him as a young man. He was sentenced to life and jailed on Robben Island off the coast of Cape Town.
An island chosen for one reason: its isolation. Nelson Mandela described it as a prison within a prison, a harsh regime where racism ruled. One cell was marked N. Mandela, prisoner 466, followed by 64, the year he arrived.
Most of Nelson Mandela's solitude was spent inside this tiny cell. The first thing that strikes you is how tiny it is. This, all there was for sanitation, a bucket. And imagine trying to use this as a bed in extreme temperatures of cold and heat. Some blankets and a mat. And the view from here, well, it's bleak. A blank wall and a courtyard. For 18 of his 27 years in imprisonment, Nelson Mandela lived in this cell.
Initially, it was very bad. It was 24-hour silence. And all we had in our cells was a mat. One mat. We had 3 blankets, very thin and dirty. And it was cold, cold, cold.
Mandela and his fellow inmates worked long days in the yard. Sitting on bricks, ordered only to look straight ahead, they smashed slate into gravel with hammers. Black inmates wore short pants in all weather, the apartheid regime's way of reminding them that all black men were considered boys, no matter what their age.
It was to get even tougher later. The labouring moved to what was then an open lime quarry. 13 years of hard toil breaking rock, the dazzling reflection of white stone damaging their eyesights. When they weren't labouring, they were sometimes allowed visits in this gloomy building. Mandela's second wife, Winnie, an activist herself, came under a travel ban. At one stage, Mandela waited 2 years between her visits.
By regulation, there was a minimum of 6 months between each visit. And also by regulation, there was no contact. A screen between husband and wife. Winnie would sit this side. A communication through a speaker. A maximum of a 30-minute conversation, not a second more, and every word of it bugged.
One characteristic of many that matured while he suffered all the years of hardship on this island. They set out to break him here, but what happened was quite the reverse. One important stage in the making of a remarkable man.
The death of your son, when you found out about that. How did you find out? Did they call you to the office?
They got a telegram. The announcement was just a telegram. They called me to the reception office and told me this, and I just took the telegram and went back. And I asked for permission to attend the funeral, but that was refused. I was really devastated to lose a son, your eldest son, and I had no opportunity, of paying my respects to his memory by attending the funeral. That was very devastating.
In 1990, after 27 brutal years of incarceration, Nelson Mandela walked out of jail and called for reconciliation, not revenge.
This was the beginning of the end of apartheid, and the whole nation was relying on Mandela's leadership to avoid bloodshed, South Africans black and white. The transition to democracy was turbulent and sometimes violent, but Mandela reached out to his former enemies to make a deal.
We were sparring, we were trying to give a knockout to the other one party, politically speaking, and at the end he took my hand and said, we need to work together.
In 1994, South Africa went to the polls in its first free elections, a tribute to Mandela, who'd steered his country away from the bloody revolution that so many had feared.
Help me God. So help me God.
The prisoner became president, and the miracle of the Rainbow Nation was embraced by the world.